Parks and Recreation, the project manager, some people that were originally involved in this project. Asked if it was okay if I kind of got involved in it. They said, fine and dandy. I'm sorry. Go ahead and run with it as best you can. Then, once I got the okay to start moving forward this and taking the project on, it's grown in leaps and bounds since we first started. Started with a very small committee. We decided at that point in time to get a lot of veterans, as many veterans involved at the time as we could. We didn't want to make the group too bulky, so what we did was we met with the local commissioner. At the time it was Ben Sanchez. Met with 5 of the local VFWs and a few other interested residents who were very enthusiastic about getting this project moving. Since then, we've had a lot of meetings. We've made a lot of decisions they made a lot of decisions. I kind of leave everything up to them. This is all about them and not about us. So I leave a lot of decisions up to them as to what they would like to see there, what they feel the community would need, and those veterans out there and families would like to see. So this is a presentation on basically where we're at today. And since I put this together, a couple things have changed, but I will go through it as we go through it. If you've got any questions, just stop me and I can answer them real quick. This is what it looked like when we first started the project. Many of you probably don't even know where it's at. If you drove by, you would have to virtually stop to take a look and say, like, what is that? There's a very small sign that says War Memorial. It was ground that was dedicated to the township, and a memorial was put on it honoring World War I and World War II veterans. Since then, it's kind of overgrown. The bushes and everything were nice bushes and everything, but they had gotten so big that you couldn't see what was going on inside the memorial itself. If you drove by, all you could see was trees and bushes. Since then, Parks and Recreation has started working on the project and started taking a lot of what we did was we worked with the Shade Tree Commission and Joe Ascenzi, who was an arborist, and he came in and told us exactly what we should take out of there and what we should keep. And we went on his guidance, and that's what we've done so far. Okay, new monuments, there's new monuments we're going to be put in. I'll show you what they're going to be, something similar a little later. And it'll kind of enhance the entire area. It will blend the old ones that are currently there and some of the other ones we're bringing in with some more up-to-date modern memorials. We'll put new walls that'll totally surround the outside of it, where we can actually sit there if you want, or it will just make it so it's more cozy and more amenable to people stopping in and sitting down and take a look at it. We came up with the idea of a fountain in the center of it. So we're working on that. I think that's feasible for us to be able to do. We'll start working on laying the groundwork in the upcoming months, but I think we'll be able to do a fountain in the dead center of it, and then I'll show you where everything's going to be. We talked about eternal flame, but I think we may have a problem with that part of it. But it's something that's on continually. It's hard to get it high enough so that nobody can get near it. So we're going to reevaluate that part of it and go back to maybe a light or something similar to it. The flag poles, there's one there now that'll be added on. I'll show you as we go through this thing. And it'll be all done with all brand new pavers, the entire area. This is basically what it's going to look like. The entrance will come in here off the side road there, right across from the apartments, the new apartments that Penn State built there. You'll walk in through it, and then along here, you'll see there'll be benches along in here. This is the monuments that's currently in there now. There's 2 other monuments that will be brought into there, and I'll show you which ones they are and where we're coming from. There'll be monuments here, here, and these 4 places here. So those 4 monuments will be installed. We're also looking at, I'll show you as we go through a couple other things we're looking at to put into this thing. What we've added into it again, since we did this, is, I'm sorry. All right. Right in here, along here, this was going to end right here. What we've decided to do now is put 2 patios out here and 1 patio out here. And on those patios, we'll have some memorabilia from some back wars. Maybe a Jeep. We have a Jeep that's been donated to us. We've got to work on it. It needs a lot of work. Maybe a Jeep and something else, whatever the veterans decide things should go there. But they'll be separate on a patio, and there'll be some benches there too that you can sit at. So you'll be able to come into here, okay? There'll be benches all along in here where you'll be able to sit. There'll be the water fountain that's going to be right here. There'll be 3 flagpoles in through here, and then all the rest of the memorials here. Out here is going to be a wall that's going to be built. It's going to have a backlit sign that's going to have War Memorial Island on it. So as you come up York Road, it'll be visible from both directions. So you'll be able to see inside here. All this is going to be all new shrubbery. This concept and what should be there was given us by Joe Sensi from the Shade Tree Commission. This is what we're concepting now. As we go through, we'll adjust this to meet with whatever we end up doing here. Penn State helped me out a little bit on this one. I wanted a 3D viewing on this. Penn State student, they want to get involved in this a little bit, so they actually started putting this together for me. It's not totally finished, but it gives you a concept of what it's going to end up looking like when we're done. Like I said, there's a couple other things that were added into this thing, and that would be the 2 patios off to the side here. But that's a view that, it's pretty much where we're going to end up being, hopefully. It's a front view. That's not going to be that elaborate, and I can't get that elaborate. I don't have that much room, but it's going to be a smaller one that kind of fits in there. All right. One of the monuments it's going to be brought down is the one that's currently at York and Susquehanna. Most people don't even know it's there. They drive by, they think it's just an old cemetery with something out in front of it. Now, that's a memorial to, I think, World War II there. So we're going to take this one off the corner there and move it into the island itself. The next one is at Noble Train Station, not Noble, the Noble Train Station, right? Am I correct? Next one's Noble Train Station. It's down there. There's a few people that know about that. We've already been told it has to move out of there because of the work that's going to be done on the bridge itself, and we have to find someplace else to put it. It's an ideal time to be able to move that into onto the Memorial Island. So, and this one is a World War I memorial here. So the older memorials will be World War I and World War II. And the newer ones, I'll show you what the newer ones will end up being. Okay. All right. One of them's going to be for the Vietnam War Memorial, for the Vietnam era, to honor those soldiers that fought over there and those that lost their lives too. It's not going to be that. That's just a concept when we first started talking about it. It's not going to be identical to that. They'll make a decision on exactly what they want. They definitely want the names of the ones who were from the area who lost their lives in Vietnam, and there's probably about 40 or 50 from local here. So these are only concepts that we have, but it'll come up to something similar to this. Next one will be the Korean War. Like I said, these are just, I gleaned these from other places who had done it. It's not going to be this, it's going to be something similar or something, whatever they decide. And we'll have one on the War on Terror. And then one will be just to thank everybody who's ever been in the service or has had anything to do with any military activities or whatever. And this is just a quote from Ronald Reagan way back when, and I kind of like the quote. So I just threw it in there, but like I said, nothing's in stone now. As we go through this thing, more decisions will be made. They're also looking at a statue. We put it in the center of this thing, or somewhere along there. They decided they didn't particularly, they want this, but they don't want exactly what is here. They want to change. So I think the soldier here will be a soldier that's standing up and they definitely want this piece here and there. So like I said, as we go through, we're going to finalize things as we start getting money to be able to do this. Okay, I talked about the wall that's going to be facing out towards York Road. It's only a concept. The eternal flame, I explained to you about the eternal flame. Pavers will be inscribed. The pavers, we'll be selling pavers to help fund this thing. And while I got a couple seconds, I'll explain to you how we're going about funding this entire program. We've applied for a grant, and thanks to Madeline Dean and also Ben Sanchez, who has taken over before Madeline Dean. They were able to procure a grant for us. So I'm working on a grant. Myself and Andrew Olds are working on a grant now to finalize that part of it. So about half this thing will be funded through a grant. The remaining amount, which would be about another $90,000 or $100,000, we will do through fundraising. We're hoping to be able to do this with those two sources, and hopefully we don't have to come back to the township and ask for any funds to do this project. All right, this basically will be done with slate pavers, the entire thing, and then the inscribed pavers will be down the center of it, to the right and left. Okay, there will be benches throughout the memorial. Okay, we're going to have plaques that will be mounted on the benches for those that would like to memorialize a loved one. There will be a cost for each of these benches. If you take a look on your desk there, you'll see there's two forms there. One is for those that may want to purchase a bench, and there's a form there if anybody would like to purchase a brick. As you leave here, there will be some forms out in front there, and I would appreciate if anybody puts newsletters out, if they can kind of advertise this for us. It would be an awesome help boost for us if you possibly can. Okay, one of the good things, I had to have more parking out there. That was part of the grant. So what we're going to be doing is, I'm working with Penn State right now to be able to take their bump outs over there, where there's like 3 or 4 cars can park there. For us, we're going to look at putting annual parking there so I can increase the parking for anybody that wants to come and use the memorial. But to be able to put that in there and make it legally acceptable to larger vehicles and fire trucks to get through there, I have to take the park on the other side out. So we'll end up lose about 7 places, and we'll gain about 20 spaces by doing this. So I've been talking to Penn State. I'm waiting for a final answer back from them to make sure that they're okay with this. They'll still have their drop off. Nothing changes other than they lose a few parking spaces. Met with code to make sure that there was no problems as far as land development when they built the building that would preclude us from doing this, and there's no problems at all with that. I talked about doing the 2 patios, and actually that's going to be done. The walls on the outside will be done virtually with no cost, virtually hardly any cost to us, because the bricks have been donated to us to build the outside walls. All right, that's our goal is to come up with 190 to 200,000. That's about what it's going to cost us. Just for the statue itself, it's close to 40,000. Each of the monuments cost over 9,500 each. And that's before we get into anything else. So, but that's our goal, and we will meet that goal one way or another. Like I said, over the winter and early spring, we're going out there now to start fundraising. We've already begun some of the demolition over there. If you go by that, you'll see it's wide open now. We took some of the trees down that they recommended to take down that were dead there. Took some of the shrub down that had overgrown, and now it's pretty much open. And that was done by Parks and Recreation. I want to thank at this point in time Andy and his crew out there. They did an awesome job out there. Of course, we're in need for volunteers. So anybody knows anything that may be interested in joining us and making this a reality, we're having a meeting tomorrow night. We have a meeting hopefully once a month. We provide food, so they, stop in there and have a little bit of bite to eat, and we talk about things. If we can get a big enough group together, because now we want to expand it now. We kind of try to keep it smaller, now we want to expand it now to get some more ideas, more concepts in, and help us in the fundraising part of it. And that's basically my pitch. But I want to thank everybody across the board here for allowing us to move forward on this project. I think it's going to be an awesome project when it's totally completed. I set a goal for a couple reasons, but I set a goal of being done in May, if I can possibly. It won't be 100% done, but I think the majority of everything will be done by May, if we can get the funding done.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
I'm sure some folks have some questions. I have one. On the sheets here, I don't see an option for online payment.
It will be online.
Okay.
They're strictly for those handouts, but I'm meeting with Ashley, not tomorrow, but hopefully when I get back, going away for a few days. When I get back, we're going to sit down there, see if I can get it put on a website and how we can maybe do this thing online and other ways to get the funding into here.
Yeah, I think it, some way to be able to, if people don't want to buy a brick, still to donate
yes.
to the thing would be great.
And we're looking at a couple other GoFundMe pages and those type things.
Yep.
We haven't got to that point yet. It was hard enough to get to this point. Now that the fun part starts is getting money to be able to do the project.
I applaud and thank you and everyone working on it. I think it's great. Anyone else have any questions? Commissioner Spielman?
Yeah, Ed, I echo Commissioner Rothman's sentiment. It looks amazing. You and Andy and the whole team have done a phenomenal job. And this is going to be so great to be able to preserve those monuments that no one ever gets to look at and that are in one way or another in the the site of future construction zones. This is going to be just a beautiful and respectful placement. And I love the expansion with the memorials to additional wars. Along the lines of Commissioner Rothman's question, can we get this form electronically?
Yes, I will
okay.
send it. I'm going to send it to all the commissioners. So
Perfect.
in case you do a newsletter,
Yeah,
maybe you can
I'll get it right in my
include a
newsletter.
blurb about
Yeah.
it in there, and we're going to figure out other ways that they can get into this thing and get the what they need.
Thank you, sir.
Ed, I apologize that it's a few minutes late, but you may have covered this, and if you did, I'm sorry about this. This is intended to cover all wars. Basically, it's all-encompassing a war memorial.
Yes, Abington Township.
All
All of Abington
Township, but
Township.
all known wars that we've been involved in the United States.
Yes,
Okay.
well, it's going to go from World War I through to present,
Okay,
to the present.
fair enough. Good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I couldn't go too far. I don't know how, if you want to go back to Civil War and,
Well, no, that's,
so we just kept it here, and the local veterans kind of want to keep it as local as I can right now.
fair enough. Thanks, Ed.
Any other questions? Commissioner Vahey?
Ed, thank you very much for this. This is going to sound a little quirky, but I've always thought it odd that we include the fact that it's an island in the name of this memorial. And I might be alone in it, but I think if we're going to revamp it, maybe we should focus more on the fact that it's Abington Township's War Memorial, not the War Memorial Island. So if we're going to do some kind of signage and we're naming it, my suggestion is that we focus on the fact that it's the township's memorial. It's not just some island in the middle of two roads.
I absolutely agree with you, and that's one of the suggestions will probably come up at the next meeting.
Okay.
Because I've had some feedback on that too. So we weren't around when somebody named it a long, long time ago. And you hate to change things, but I think at this point in time, since we're redoing the whole thing, maybe you change the name of it too, to reflect on today instead of what was back when they first put this thing in there.
Great, thank you.
I got to make sure there's no restrictions on us, or whoever gave us the land, you know what I mean? But I think we should be okay, though.
Thank you.
Good idea, though.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Are we doing anything as to any public comment on this, or?
This is just a presentation, it's not an agenda item.
No,
Okay.
it's just to inform the board what's going on. So,
Yeah.
you know, I haven't had the opportunity yet because we weren't at the point where I could actually talk about things that we were going to do, but we came to a point, I thought now was the time to actually talk about it. I'm sorry. If anybody does want to come, or you know anybody that may want to come, tomorrow night at 6:30 to Roslyn Boys and Girls Club, We will have a meeting. It'll be, I think, our 7th or 8th meeting. Everybody is welcome to come, to listen to what we got to talk, what we're talking about, and what, if they have some suggestions, what we can do in the future. Everybody is welcome to come. And there will be food. And beverages, light beverages, though.
All right, well, thank you very much, Ed. We
Thank you.
appreciate
I
that.
really appreciate the time.
No problem, thank you. All right, we're going to take a 1-minute break before we come back and start the Public Works agenda.